Hey there, we're going to see how this works out. I'm going to go through the notes with you. We're talking about hyperbolic functions. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hopefully I am. But a good definition of this, and if you want to write this in your notes, you can. I have your notes saved for you in Schoology, is they kind of have the same relationship to a hyperbola that the trig functions have to circles. This might sound really difficult, but you're going to see when we work through this lesson, it really is not very difficult. So here are all the functions. It's up to you if you want to write. Well, no, I put it in your notes. I just copied this. You had to write this down. So we'll refer back to this quite a bit. Honestly, I don't even know how you pronounce this. How I'm going to pronounce it is like sine H. Okay. I don't know if you say it all like this, cosh, or that's probably how you say it. I'm just going to call it cosine H. All right. And here are some identities that are going to be useful. So those are in your notes as well. And then the derivatives, they're not the same as the trig derivative. So I don't know if you guys remember, this derivative of sine is cosine, but the derivative of regular cosine is negative sine. But if we have the hyperbolic function, it is still positive. So you're going to refer back to these. Do not need to memorize those at all. And let's evaluate some of these. So what we're going to do when it says evaluate, this is not derivative. This would be using the functions. Okay, so you're going to plug in a 0 for x into the sine h function. All right, this is tangent. So go ahead and look at what your tangent one is. And I'm going to write this on the board. Hopefully this works. And then you can see it pretty well on my shared screen. So tangent, if you guys recall, the identity would be sine over cosine. So if we use the sine of 0, all right, that's e to the 0. And for sine, it's minus e to the negative 0, which is still 0, right? All divided by 2. That's the sine function. And we're going to divide that by this cosine h. It's e to the 0 plus e to the 0 divided by 2. All right, so let's think about what this equals. The orange fraction, e to the 0 minus e to the 0 is just 0. So 0 over 2. And then e to the 0 is 1 plus 1. That's 2 over 2. But this whole thing's just going to be 0 over 2, or just 0. So that's the answer for that function. It's just 0. All right, the second part of this question is how is this going to change if we plug a 1 into the function? And you'll want to use just a regular calculator to help you get your final answer. So we start out the same, but now we're going to plug a 1 and a negative 1 into our function. So we're going to have e to the 1 minus e to the negative 1 over 2. And then the cosine function is e to the 1 plus e to the negative 1 over 2. So what I did is I just typed this into my calculator. That's an actual number, and it is roughly 1.752. And I typed this into my calculator, and that's roughly 1.543. And when you divide those, you get 0.762. So that's the answer for number 1. Now let's go to number 2, example problem. And this one is evaluate sine h4 and sine h natural log of 4. Okay, well the sine, remember, is just e to the x minus e to the negative x over 2. And we're going to plug a 4 into this. So e to the 4 minus e to the negative 4, all divided by 2. You just type that in your calculator, and that's roughly equal to 27.29. There you go. Now let's see what happens when we plug in a natural log. So e to the natural log 4 minus e to the negative natural log 4 over 2. Okay, so hopefully we realize that, remember, e and natural log just cancel each other out. That's going to turn into a 4. And then we're going to have minus a negative 4 all over 2. So that answer is just 4. And you can check that with your calculator.